I just wanted peace. But trouble was already on its way. The sun was sinking behind the trees, painting the lake in streaks of gold. Birds chirped their last songs, and the soft waves kissed the shore. For a moment, the world felt still, calm, like this was exactly where he belonged. Then, in the distance, headlights flickered. A car appeared on the trail, Karen's SUV. She was back. And he knew this wasn't a friendly visit. The perfect evening, the quiet cabin, the serene lake, all about to be shattered by someone who couldn't leave well enough alone. It was a quiet Thursday morning. The workers were just doing their job, building a small deck, fixing the locks. Nothing fancy, just getting the cabin ready for the fishing season. Then she appeared, Karen, walking her dog, eyes sharp as a hawk. The moment she saw the workers, her face changed. She stormed over, yelling, "You can't do this here. This breaks HOA rules." The workers tried to explain, but she wasn't listening. She whipped out her phone, snapping pictures, circling them like a hunter on a mission. And before anyone could stop her, she dialed 911, reporting illegal activity by the lake. Minutes later, police arrived. Calm, professional, they asked for proof. The workers handed over the deeds, and soon, the county confirmed it. The cabin was completely outside HOA control. Karen's face turned red with anger, but the officers were clear. HOA rules ended at the community border. She stomped away, muttering threats, plotting her next move. For the cabin owner, it was a small victory, but also a reminder. Peace isn't just given, it has to be defended. Karen didn't give up. Not even a little. Instead of backing off, she started spreading rumors through the neighborhood, claiming the cabin owner was building illegally by the lake. Soon, nosy neighbors began showing up, peeking through trees, whispering to each other. The gossip spread like wildfire, faster than the truth could ever travel. Inside the cabin, the owner sipped his coffee, calm but disappointed. He had bought this land for peace and freedom, far away from meddling people like Karen. But now, that peace was under attack. Her harassment didn't stop at words. Tire tracks appeared by the gate, flyers were stuffed under the door, and small acts of interference began piling up. It wasn't just annoying, it was deliberate intimidation. But the owner stayed focused. He knew the truth, and he knew this fight wasn't about ego anymore, it was about protecting his home. The cabin owner wasn't about to let Karen win. He drove into town and met with the county clerk, who carefully checked the records. Finally, he walked out with the official map. His property was completely outside HOA control. But Karen didn't care about facts. That afternoon, she returned with 2 HOA compliance officers, marching straight to the cabin. Clipboard in hand, she pointed at the deck and locks, shouting about violations and blocking community access. The owner stayed calm and handed over the county's certified map. The officers glanced at it and exchanged looks. The truth was undeniable. Karen's face went red, her confidence collapsing. "Still," she shouted, trying to cling to control. But for the first time, she looked small and powerless, standing there against the truth she refused to see. The cabin owner smiled faintly. One battle won, but the war wasn't over. The morning sun shone over the lake as the cabin came back to life. Workers hammered and sawed, fixing the deck and securing the fence. Peace was slowly returning, or so it seemed. Suddenly, a white SUV rolled up. Karen stepped out, phone in hand, recording everything like she was reporting live. "He's blocking community access," she shouted, pointing at the cabin. Her voice echoed across the quiet lake. The owner walked calmly toward her. "Karen, this is private property." The county confirmed it. "You are trespassing," he said firmly, not a hint of anger in his voice. Karen huffed, trying to look powerful. "We'll see what the police think about that," she snapped, arms crossed, glaring. The tension was unbearable, her arrogance, full of noise and threats, clashing with his quiet, confident authority. But one thing was clear, he wasn't backing down, no matter what she did. The tension had been building all morning, and it was about to reach its peak. Gravel crunched under tires as 2 sheriff's deputies arrived, calm but alert, scanning the scene carefully. Karen rushed forward, phone in hand, waving it like proof. "He's illegally blocking lake access," she shouted, her voice dripping with anger. The cabin owner stayed calm. He handed the deputies the county's official paperwork, showing clearly that the land was private and fully outside HOA control. The deputies looked at Karen, then at the papers. Firmly, one warned, "Ma'am, you are on private property. If you don't leave, it's trespassing." Karen's face went red with fury, but there was no choice. She huffed, crossed her arms, and stomped back to her SUV, realizing, finally, that her power had limits. For the first time, the cabin owner could breathe. The law was on his side, and peace was slowly returning, at least for now. The lake was calm, the moonlight dancing on the water, but trouble was coming. Karen's SUV appeared again, and this time she had bolt cutters in hand, ready to break the gate and take back what's hers. She struggled with the chain, muttering angrily, when suddenly lights flickered on. A deep growl echoed from the porch. Out stepped the cabin owner's German shepherd, alert and fierce. Karen froze. The dog barked loudly, making her stumble backward, dropping the bolt cutters in the dirt. Then, red and blue lights cut through the trees. The sheriff's truck had arrived. 2 deputies jumped out, flashlights sweeping across the scene. "Ma'am, hands where we can see them," one shouted. Karen tried to talk, to explain, but the evidence was clear. The bolt cutters on the ground told the whole story. The sheriff's voice was calm but firm. "You've ignored warnings, harassed workers, and entered private property. You're under arrest for trespassing." Her face went pale. "I'm on HOA business," she cried. "Not tonight," the sheriff said firmly. The deputies guided her to the patrol car as she sobbed, still insisting she was right. Finally, silence returned. The dog sat calmly by the porch, eyes watchful. The cabin owner breathed deeply, finally feeling a sense of peace. After all the chaos, justice had finally arrived. The morning after Karen's arrest, the lake felt calm for the first time in weeks. The cabin owner sat on the porch, sipping his coffee, watching the gentle waves. Peace had finally returned. Karen, meanwhile, faced the consequences of her actions. Trespassing, harassment, and property damage charges were filed, and the reality of her obsession finally hit her. Her arrogance had crumbled, replaced with disbelief and regret. The sheriff met with the cabin owner one last time. "You handled this perfectly," he said quietly. "You stayed calm, followed the law, and protected your property. That's what made all the difference." Word spread through the neighborhood. People realized that HOA tyranny could be challenged, and that standing up for what's right could actually work. For the first time, the community felt united, not under rules and fear, but under respect and courage. The cabin owner smiled faintly. It wasn't about revenge. It was about justice, calm, and finally enjoying the life he had fought to protect. Finally, the cabin was complete. The workers finished the last touches on the deck and dock, painting the rails, fixing the gates, and making everything perfect. The air felt lighter, calm, and full of relief. Neighbors stopped by, bringing smiles, warm greetings, and even baked goods. They had watched Karen's drama for years, too scared to act, but seeing her finally held accountable gave them hope. The community felt stronger, united, and peaceful. The cabin owner sat on his porch, his loyal German shepherd resting beside him. He gazed at the lake, watching the stars reflect on the water. There was no anger left, no desire for revenge, just a deep, calming sense of victory and gratitude. He realized something important. Power without humility always falls. Justice had been served, peace had returned, and the lake was finally what it was meant to be, a safe, quiet haven. And as the night settled over the water, the gentle waves whispered a promise. This time, peace would last.